There's probably not a handful of people in the world that can just say, all I do is design games and I can make a living doing it. That's just unbelievable. I just get goosebumps. But I think the one thing that I was not prepared for is just how much I would love the community that we built. And it's just unbelievable to see how our community is there for each other. They're building each other up. Every time I open up my Discord and I see all the activity, it just puts a smile on my face, you know?
Hey there, business enthusiasts. Welcome to the Chills Podcast, brought to you by All Weather Roof. Because just like a sturdy roof, our conversations are built to last. I'm your host, Brent Loberg, and we're about to dive into the world of business, family, and the moments that give us those exhilarating chills. Ever wonder what keeps successful people inspired? Well, get ready to find out as we chat with some fantastic all-weather customers, partners, vendors, and friends. We'll explore their triumphs, challenges, and maybe even some unexpected secrets. After all, business is not just about numbers. It's about the people behind them. So grab your metaphorical popcorn and join us on this journey. Get ready to be inspired, maybe even get a few chills of your own. This is the Chills Podcast. Let the goosebumps begin. So introduce yourself.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Adam Carlson. I am a co-founder, co-owner of Chip Theory Games. We are based in Plymouth, Minnesota. My business partner, Josh Carlson, actually is my cousin and best friend. A lot of people think we're brothers. We might as well be, but we are cousins, to set the record straight. Our dads are brothers and they're best friends. So it would make sense that Josh and I, we grew up together. So we've always been buddies. So it's pretty special to be able to build this side by side with my best friend.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
I'm married. My wife is Mackenzie. We've been married for 20 years. We have two children, 13 and 9. And so life is great.
Great.
Yes.
How did you get started into this?
Oh, wow. So growing up, in my upper high school years and college years, online video gaming came onto the scene. And I'm talking about MMORPGs, so massively multiplayer, role-playing online games. It's a mouthful. But that concept was just fascinating, and Josh and I, we started playing that. And, at first just casual, but then, it's like, wow, so we are going around on this online world, which is, at the time, the concept of that was just mind-boggling. But we would go around and we would, what we call, farm the bosses, and they would drop rare loot, and we would actually consistently farm those and then sell them online for online gold, and then we would sell the online gold for cash. And Josh was a master at that, but he ended up funding his entire college farming items from an online video game. So that's wild. So that's how it all started. And then it evolved to some board game work. And then in 2011 really, we've discovered the power of Kickstarter. Kickstarter is, at the time, online crowdfunding was like, what is that? A place where we can find our fans, our consumers, and get the funding at the same time without having to go to a bank. Unbelievable. So we're like, well, let's just give it a shot. So we designed a game and we put it on Kickstarter, just not knowing what was going to happen. But it was always our dream to maybe design games, and, we ended up funding it. And so that would start a passion of ours. We just created game after game. And actually, for the first 5 years of the company, we didn't actually make any money. It was all just a passion of ours that we just wanted to just build and create, that we would do it, outside of our full-time jobs.
Did you go to school to do this?
School?
Did you take school to learn how to build games?
Right. No, that's a good question. I think at the time, just there wasn't really any offerings for that type of game design. Maybe for video games, they started having classes in school. Josh and I both went to Bethel College, which is now Bethel University. He did go to school for game design, and we both took business classes and whatnot. I actually ended up not finishing at Bethel. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be just like Josh, so I was trying to follow his footsteps, because he was 3 years my senior, so I was kind of just following him throughout. So yeah.
Okay.
So we're self-taught, we just kind of learned it as we go and just followed our passions.
And was this 2011 you said you started?
Yes. So our company officially founded in 2012, but 2011 is when we started building our first game. Yes.
Okay. So tell me more about your office, because I'm really interested in the tiny homes, so I love the box containers.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Wow. So I have to give credit to my business partner, Josh, for the concept and inspiration, but I think early and often Josh and I had long dreamed of having an actual office space. Now, that's an important note because in our industry, a lot of work is remote. And actually, in the board game world, most companies are just a couple of full-time people, and then everything else is just contract work. So for us, we wanted to kind of build a home away from home, and we wanted to build a family. So we ended up being very intentional about having an office, right? And we grew quite quickly, and we went from office to office, 4 offices in the span of 5-6 years. And so now the space we have, we were finally able to build what we call our dream office, right? So it's mostly just warehouse space. We cleared it all out, and then we built what you said, like containers. So we brought in, there's a long story there, but we ended up ordering 20 containers from China, and they were kind of on their way, and trying to, Josh was the architect for this, so we didn't even have to bring in some outside work. So he just loved building, creating, so I let him run with that. But quickly we found out that there were a lot of hiccups along the way. This was literally during COVID season, so it was hard to find the right contacts, and we had to work with the city of Plymouth, and they, at some point in time, told us that all the containers had a little bit of a lip on the bottom. So they were like, okay, so we need to do 6-foot ramps at the base of all of these containers. And we're like, yeah, no, I totally get that. We didn't think of that, but it won't work for our aesthetics. So we were like, okay, we're going to have to cut down all these containers and build them right into the ground, so then all the entrances are flush. And so we had to do a lot of pivots. And so our entire build from start to finish ended up being about 1.5 years. So it was a long time coming. But after seeing the finished work, we're very, very happy. And it was, I think there's something to be said about the more effort and time something takes to build, it becomes more special.
Sure. So did you use all 20 of them?
No. So we ended up having to, I don't even know what the final count was, but it is important to say that all these second level containers, which by the way created some sort of, we used the tops of these containers sort of as a mezzanine, and we had some skyways that connected. The upper containers are true containers, but the bottom ones we were able to maybe do side by side, so they're double wides, but there's a lot of glass on the surface or the front of all of these offices, so everything's extremely transparent, which is reflective of who we are as a company. We want to be extremely transparent, extremely upfront, and, in today's day and age, in our industry, especially in the Kickstarter world, everything is delays and, unexpected, this and that, because everybody is learning the business world. When you launch a product, you're suddenly a business owner, you're suddenly managing something that you may or may not be prepared for, right? So the same with Josh and I. So we kind of learn as we go, but we learned very early on that communication is super important. for our backers. So even if we're late, we made a point to create updates or connect with all of our consumers who were super excited about our games. Here's where we're at with the game design, or here, this component we had issues with in the manufacturer, so we are redoing that. So that's going to set us back a month. So over the years, we really dialed in building that relationship with our backers. So while we might not be in everybody's household, I'm very proud that for the backers that we have, the consumers, the fans, they keep coming back and buying game after game because they trust in us and they are a part of the process. And it's like they're also family along with our team. So it's real special.
Yeah, very cool. Do you have a niche or a specific?
Yeah, so our company, we're very much a niche. So our games are very high end, so we don't really use paper products. So we've got neoprene. All of our dice are custom. Like every single side of the die does not match each other. And so we'll have our most popular game, Too Many Bones, is 120 some dice, and 90 of them are unique. And so
What was the
they're
name of the
all
game?
Too Many Bones. And it's a funny name, but it was a play on words for the theme, where there's bones within the game, but also bones are dice. And so we just made a game that just had a billion dice, and we're like, let's roll them all, and that's really the appeal. But anyways, so the high-end componentry is what we lean into. For Josh and I, we grew up with games that were, $10, $15, you get them at Target, but pieces would get lost or they would get damaged and you'd have to rebuy. So how many copies of Monopoly have you owned in your life, right? So for us, we wanted to have that special feel, the aesthetics of the game. So Josh and I, we have a little bit of a poker background, but we love the chips and moving them around on neoprene, and just when you roll dice on the neoprene, the sound and feel. The chips are heavy, high quality poker chip level. So that's kind of what we leaned into, and very quickly we found that Josh and I, our niche really was to create solo games. So all of our games are actually built solo first, which is very interesting. So it's like you literally sit by yourself and you've got this giant game, and it's like a puzzle. It's like solitaire times 100. So you're playing through a story. It's, 10, 12, 14 hours to play through an entire game.
Wow.
And you're kind of managing all the componentry, but all of I call them baddies. All the baddies have their own directives, and so you have to kind of pivot and adapt to different strategies, and it's really special. And so our games, they're very expensive. They're $150, $200 games. So our starting point is there, but the quality.
Yeah.
And, the experience, and we pride ourselves in the resale value of the game. So we really take good care of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I picture when I bought my Apple computer, and you open up that in the box, and the way they package it.
Exactly. A lot of people have compared us as, they've identified us as the Apple of the board game industry, which I suppose is true, but I think we shy away from trying to make comparisons. But we are definitely trying to make our mark in the industry as that niche, that level. You know what I'm saying? So definitely.
Mm-hmm. I bet you have a really unique and great culture in your business. Good culture, people at your office.
Definitely. No, I appreciate you mentioning that. I think for Josh, definitely, he's our president and CEO. I function as our chief design officer. Our Josh has managed the majority of the team, and he has really cultivated a strong culture, as you put it, for the team. I think it starts with the office that we built, right? So we wanted to, when you walk in, just have a whooshing of just creativity and inspiration, and just you want to be here, and you want to be a part of this, and you want to excel. And But we also make a point to do like monthly game days, and we really lean into taking care of our team. And it's, team first, family first. We try to build that mindset, We take care of our own, definitely. So I don't know, I can't recall if we've ever lost an employee, that's a testament to what we try to build, And so, yes, definitely, it's fun.
Where can people find your games? How do people buy your games?
Oh, wow, yeah, so actually, 95% of our sales are online. So that's, I told you how expensive our games are, but they're worth every penny. But they're not necessarily an impulse buy, so you won't find us on, in Target or Walmart or even Games by James. Well, that's our local board game. Yeah, they'll buy some direct from us, but you would go to our website, chiptheorygames.com, and we're rolling out a brand new revamping of the website in a couple of months, but that's really where you find us, and you might find us, elsewhere, but they would have been buying direct from us. And the other way to find us is through our crowdfunding campaigns. So I mentioned Kickstarter. We've actually pivoted to using GameFound.com. So GameFound is a European crowdfunding platform specifically for board game people.
Okay.
So it's not very well known, not like Kickstarter or some of the other major platforms in the U.S., but definitely there. But I would check out our website first and foremost, and you have access to us as a team. And we can answer questions and whatnot. So, yes.
What age ranges are your games for?
Wow. Okay. So our games are, as you know, they're also, they're expensive and they're high quality. So definitely for the older generation, probably my generation, I would say. So 30s and 40-year-olds who have a little bit of time on their own, time on their hands, and just want to sit down and have a puzzle and whatnot. So I would say 30 to 40 male, There's a lot of ladies that are getting on the board gaming scene too, which is really, really cool. But definitely in the younger generation, I think that the 20-year-olds are still very enveloped in the video gaming world. But eventually, there is a point where they start to cross over and start to really appreciate the board games and quality ones of that. So that's very exciting to see. The industry is just exploding. So, really, anyone can play our games. But I will say that due to the complexity of our games, they're not a good place to start to get into the board gaming world. They're not gateway games is what I call them. So you have, Settlers of Catan, you have Pandemic, you have Ticket to Ride. Those are great games to start with to kind of get your wheels turning. But if you want a real challenge, you can get into our games.
Okay.
I should mention that they're not solo only,
I was going to say
cooperative, there's PvP. I was just saying for our niche market, definitely our strong suit is the fact that you can play them alone.
Okay.
But it's just one of a myriad of ways to play our games. So,
okay.
Yes.
Very cool. So give the audience a bit of advice for entrepreneurship. Like you started your own business. Tidbit of advice.
Right.
For the audience about entrepreneurship.
Wow. Okay, so my business partner, Josh, is incredible. He's a champion in the industry. He just works hard, plays hard. Everything is 100%, and I love and respect that. I've been trying to keep up with him. He's hard to keep up with, but I know that we've been fortunate enough to bring on a couple of members for our team that are real hard workers. They're motivated. Their tenacity, is just unparalleled. It's just surround yourself with champions is what I would say. I think that if you can build a good team and maintain that team, a lot of the weight will be lifted off your shoulders. Now, of course, Josh is still in the office 80 hours a week, for me, I'm experiencing some health issues, so I've kind of slowed down. But I'm very fortunate to be in a position to be able to just kind of slow down and start being more intentional with my family and home life. So very exciting. But I would definitely say that, when building a team, you want to, yes, find the person to fit the job, but very often I will find a job to fit the person. And if I find a person I want you on my team, and I will make it happen. What are you good at? Let's make it work. I'll build something. We'll make it fit, but I want you on my team. That mindset. So we definitely,
That's powerful. I like that.
we definitely want to find the right people.
Sure.
Before we find the right, before we fill the positions.
Sure.
So
lovely. Love that. So the name of the podcast is called The Chills.
Okay.
So what in your business makes the hair stand up back your neck in a good way?
I think one thing that I was not prepared for was how much I would love doing what I do. Josh and I, we created our games, and we this is our passion, right? It's just unbelievable that I get to wake up every morning and I'm like, I do what? I design games for a living. I get paid to do this. There's probably not a handful of people in the world that can just say, all I do is design games, and I can make a living doing it. So that, first of all, that's just unbelievable. I just get goosebumps. But I think the one thing that I was not prepared for is just how much I would love the community that we build. And so now we're on Discord, and we're very accessible. I talked about the transparency thing earlier. We talk to all of our fans on Facebook, on X, on Discord, and it's just unbelievable to see how our community is there for each other. They're building each other up. There's rules questions. They come up, and we have, before I can even get on there and help answer questions, there are others that are jumping in, and it's just an unbelievable community. And every time I open up my Discord and I see all the activity, it just puts a smile on my face, and I just, yes, I get goosebumps every time. So that is unbelievable. So first and foremost, what we built is a community, and that's just so special. I wasn't prepared for that, but definitely that's what it feels like. So
yeah, I love that too. So I guess a bonus question for you: what were your favorite games as a kid?
So my early memories, so I know I have an older brother and sister, and I remember our Sunday night were game nights, and so we kept that tradition. So back in the day, it was like categories or Pictionary, or if it wasn't all of us and it was just a small group, then we would play Risk. And so a lot of those were really, really popular. I played a lot of chess with my dad, and I did some competitive chess. And funny enough, I never won a single game of chess on a competitive scene. So I definitely was not one of those, prodigies.
Yeah.
Then I got to my high school and college years, and Settlers of Catan is the game that I played by and large the most. Thousands of games of Settlers, I would say, that I've played, and that's really kind of a starting point of where it really started to open up things for me, because as I played Settlers of Catan, and we started to get bored after several games, and we'd be like, let's add this house rule. Let's add this house rule.
Oh, you'd make your own rules.
Yes. So by the end, we would have this whole page of 30 rules, revisions, or house rules, and frankly, it didn't even start to feel like Settlers anymore. It started to feel like our own game using the framework of the Settlers mechanics. And so that was really, if I'm being honest, the first game design work that Josh and I started doing, and then it spin off from there.
So you guys would play Settlers of Catan, change the rules, and you and Josh kind of just developed, and that's kind of how you guys started in your business.
Definitely. And our love for video games was very much a part of that board gaming world because our niche, again, I go back to what the products that we make, they're actually video games that are sort of converted to a board game feel. So in terms of MMORPG, we would have these little skills that you can unlock and learn as you play, and that was very reminiscent of what we designed for where the dice would come into play. Is each die would represent its own skill that you learned as you gained experience through the game. And so we took a lot of the games, online games that we loved, and tried to make it work in board game form. In fact, our most recent game that we've come out with this year is The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. It's the whole title. It's a long one. But definitely is taking the online video game and turning it into board game form. And we are very, very excited about it. We've been working on it for 4.5 years, and it's finally out, and it's being well received, and we're very, very thankful that it turned out as well as it did.
Sure. How do you feel being in your industry, young kids spending too much time on playing video games? Is that bad, do you think?
Oh my goodness, wow. You put me on the spot with that question. I would say, for me personally, it happened to work out because it sort of served as a planting of some of the inspiration and love for the industry. I will be the first to tell you that I limit screen time for my children and I limit their gaming time. I think that it's important to have some thinky games, and I think some games that are social based. So that's really board games.
Yeah.
But I will play like Pokemon with my kids, and so I love that, I love to see the wheels turning, and I'll never forget my 5-year-old son, when we were playing our game, he was, in Pokemon, you put energy underneath your Pokemon before you put them up for battle, right? So I remember thinking, okay, so that Pokemon requires 3 energy before it comes up, and it can't attack without the 3rd energy. And I stepped in and I said, so Timmy, do you know that doesn't have enough energy? He goes, yeah, Dad, I know. I've got one in my hand. I'm waiting till I put it up, because if you knock it out, then I lost the energy. I don't want to waste it. And it was like, that is level 2 Pokemon thinking.
Yeah.
He gets it. And it's just, a pride.
Yeah.
It was a moment that I just beamed ear to ear. And it was, so I think that it's important. And again, the social skills, working with, building relationships and friendships through board gaming is important. In video games, you don't get that. It's really living in an alternate reality, and it's more a solo thing. So maybe a small dose of that is okay, but I definitely try to bring it back to the table and build these types of skills. I think they're important.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a funny cousin story for you. My cousin Bart, who I grew up in Duluth, and he was from Superior.
Yeah.
And we would play Nintendo, like Super Mario.
Yes.
But we would play so much that we'd have to put tape on our thumbs because it would just get wore out and raw.
I love that.
We put Scotch tape on our thumbs.
You played hard mode. Yes. No, that's great. That's creative. That's exactly that's awesome.
But you are kind of building like the relationships, and you and your cousin. It's a great story, great family story too.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, even if you sit side by side and you're having that bonding moment, that's important. I think that it gets dangerous when you're sitting in front of a PC and you're sinking countless hours onto a screen. That's where it gets it all.
So do you play with your wife at all, these games? Like, can you bond with your wife on these games, or?
So when we dated back in college, I think that, she played with me a little bit on the video game and board games, definitely. She's not a gamer, as you would put it, But I think that she was probably trying to communicate with me through my love language by agreeing to play these games with me. And so I appreciate her doing that for me. But in retrospect, yeah, she's not so much a gamer, but that doesn't mean she's not down for a game every now and then.
Sure.
Yes.
What does your wife do?
Wow. So she is a nurse on the burn unit at HCMC. She loves what she does. She's there, and she's, there's 2 burn units in a 5-state radius, and it's crazy, but all those, house fires or car fires that you see on the news, those are the people that fly in to her unit. You have to have, I think, 60% of your body burned or more to even just be on the floor. So they're kind of longer term. But the technology that she says they have there, and the doctors, the team, she absolutely loves what she does. And so I'm very happy that she's found a place where she can call home, away from home, and just be a part of that family too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool. Anything else you want to share with the audience?
Oh, wow.
We didn't cover.
I got nothing. I think I sort of, just rambled and shared everything.
It was great.
Yes.
You could see your passion in it. I love it. The passion. Yep. So cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
story.
It's pretty special. I think that, Chip Theory Games has a bright future. I think that it's very exciting because I told you about the Elder Scrolls game that's just now come on the scene. What that's done for us as a company is now international companies are noticing us, and they're like, we want to translate that game and we want to distribute it locally within our own country or countries. And so now we have 12 language partners for that game alone, and we've already started translating Too Many Bones, which was our older popular title. And so we're starting to explode. We're at that the bottom of the hockey stick chart, if you will. And so I think that we have a very exciting future ahead of us, and it's just unbelievable to be part of this ride, and I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Brent.
Super fun.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our incredible guests and, of course, All Weather Roof for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed these conversations as much as we did, don't forget to hit subscribe and share the chills with your fellow business aficionados. Remember, it's not just about business, it's personal, and it's all about the people. Stay inspired, chase those dreams, and let the chills guide you. Till next time, this is Brent, signing off from the Chills Podcast. Catch you on the flip side.